As we turn our attention to the tail of the tape, we see that both guys came in on the mark at 185. Both come in standing 6 feet tall. Joe DOERKSEN, by far the more experienced fighter at 47 and 16, and Joel Powell coming in at definitely the much younger in terms of cage time at 4 and 2. This is a big fight for Joe because he's coming into the bout having lost his last bout against Brett Cooper. Before that, defeating Luigi Fioravanti, and just before that, losing to former Bellator middleweight champion Hector Lombard. So I know Joe's definitely going to want to get the W back. And here comes El Dirty into the cage, and we'll turn it up to Dean Panis for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the AFC middleweight division, is sponsored by Victory Mouthguard and Assassin Fightwear, and is the main event of the evening. The man in charge when the bell rings is your referee, Mr. Brian Beauchamp. And now, for the sold-out crowd at the TELUS Convention Center in downtown Calgary, and our fight fans watching live across the world on the internet, there's only one thing left to ask. Are you ready? Introducing first, to my right in the blue corner. This man is a wrestler. He comes in at 6 foot 1 inch tall, weighing at 183 pounds. He comes in with a professional MMA record of 5 victories and 2 losses, representing Hamilton Muay Thai. From Hamilton, Ontario, Joel Powell. And introducing his opponent, to my left in the red corner. This man is a Canadian icon. He comes in at 6 foot even. He weighed in at 184.5 pounds, representing Canadian Fighting Center with a professional MMA record of 46 victories and 17 losses. From Winnipeg, Manitoba, he is the dirtiest man in MMA, Joe El Dirty DOERKSEN.
Okay, gentlemen, we went over my instructions in the back room. We want a clean, fair fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my command at all times. If I ask you to stop, stop everything you're doing. Let's touch gloves, make it official.
Here we go, about to get underway with round 1, Joe DOERKSEN versus Joel Powell. Both men chomping at the bit, hungry to get things going here. Ooh, we see Joe DOERKSEN feint with a couple leg kicks, and Joel Powell answer back with a snapping leg kick. But El Dirty's not to be outdone. He comes back with another leg kick of his own. DOERKSEN comes in with 3-punch combo, but as Powell landing with the uppercuts in the clinch. Both men exchanging blows as they tie up and separate in the center of the cage. Now, I definitely got to say, Powell's getting the better of the striking exchanges early on here.
Very quick 1-2 combination thrown by Joel Powell. I know the man's a wrestler. I wasn't expecting the hand speed I see early on in Joel Powell.
Well, I know he's been working on his boxing a lot lately, really focusing on knowing that he's got that wrestling game in his pocket. He can spend more time really. Whoa, and a flying knee by DOERKSEN that catches Powell right on the chin. Stuns him. DOERKSEN capitalizes, slamming Powell to the mat and following with uppercuts. DOERKSEN looking for the back, sinks the arm, sinks the hooks. It's under the chin, but Powell's fighting to get it out from there. And he does.
Great job by Joel Powell to go 2-on-1 on the left wrist of Joe DOERKSEN and get out of that rear naked choke.
Wow, that knee caught Powell flush on the jaw, and DOERKSEN knew it. And now Powell taking DOERKSEN's back. Really amazing job there, Powell, to get that arm out from under him because it was right under his chin. But DOERKSEN, savvy on the ground as always, and reverses the position on Powell.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the recovery speed of Joel Powell. That left knee landed flush, and I thought the fight was going to be over. And out of nowhere, Joel Powell just regained, I don't want to say consciousness, but he regained his poise instantly and put Joe DOERKSEN in trouble.
Yeah, no, and again, this is a really nice back and forth battle. Because right now, Powell's taking over, and there's DOERKSEN right back on top.
That's a veteran right there, using the momentum of Joel Powell, not to stop the takedown, but to keep it going and use the momentum and ride right over the top of Joel Powell.
Well, you know, that's what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is all based on, is leverage, right? And the smaller man being able to beat the bigger man. And right there you saw a little physics at work as Joe DOERKSEN took the momentum, used his leverage, popped over, and turned what could have been a disadvantageous position into an advantageous one as he's got Joel Powell pressed up against the cage.
And not only that, Joe DOERKSEN knows exactly where he was in the cage. He's been in there hundreds of times. He knows he had room to flip him right over and to have enough room without hitting the cage to land on top position.
Really nice knee to the body there by DOERKSEN, snuck it in just right under the chin, and again another one. Now to the head, DOERKSEN going to work with his knees, throwing strikes. But Powell, like you said, really great recovery. Managed to stay in there. Now he's fighting off the takedown from DOERKSEN.
I have to laugh as I can hear some young kids in the crowd in their nice MMA apparel yelling instructions to Joe DOERKSEN.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in this building right now has anything to offer Joe in terms of advice. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. And I see some blood there on the side of Joe's head. Can't tell if that's coming from Joel Powell or if maybe DOERKSEN's got a little cut on the side of his head. Ooh, Powell landing on DOERKSEN with a nice right there that stuns the veteran.
Yes, that blood is definitely coming from the left side of the head of Joe DOERKSEN. And Joel Powell continuing to land on El Durde.
Yeah, no, I'd say that Joel. Oh, and there goes DOERKSEN's mouthpiece, which isn't a good thing when you got a guy like Powell teeing off and you land in flush.
45 seconds remaining in round one as Joel Powell opens up on Joe DOERKSEN, and now Joel Powell's mouth guard comes out.
Yeah, both men are fighting with the mouth guards. I don't know if referee Brian Beauchamp noticed the second one, as he only picked up the one there. But El Durde, knowing that he's losing on the hand speed, or he doesn't have the hand speed to keep up with Joel Powell right there, smartly going for the single, trying to take this fight to the ground in the last few seconds and hopefully steal this round.
Yes, it's a very interesting round to score. Joe DOERKSEN early was able to hurt Joel Powell. Joel Powell was able to recover, and then Joe DOERKSEN gets hurt by Joel Powell. And right now, I wouldn't know who to score this round for. I can see a cut over the left ear of Joe DOERKSEN. I also believe there's a cut over his right eyebrow. So if you look for damage, you know, there's definitely damage on Joe DOERKSEN, where Joel Powell, he looks a little bit tired, but I don't see any physical damage.
Yeah, and both fighters I just noticed looking for their mouth guards. They can finally get them back in. Yeah, no, really tough round to score. I mean, Joe was the closer to sinking the choke there, but you know, Joel reversed him right away and got his own choke going. In the striking, I think definitely Joel's getting the better of it, as we'll see here. Oh,
there's that flying knee by Joe DOERKSEN that landed square on the chin of Joe Powell. And this is honest, David, I thought this is where the fight was going to be over. But Joel Powell was able to show incredible recuperation skills.
Yeah, no, he's got a lot of resilience. A couple of times there, Powell was rocked but came back. I think that says a lot about, even though he's only got 6 fights, you know, he's got a hell of a chin no matter what. We'll see DOERKSEN here with him pressed up against the cage. He's going to land a really nice knee to the body here. You'll see him sneak it in. Boom, right there. That's the savviness and the craftiness of a veteran like Joe DOERKSEN, who knows how to find those little openings as we move into round 2.
As I look at Alderte, I can see a mark above and below as Alderte just twisted his ankle. He kind of rolled his right ankle there. But if you look at the right eye of Joe Doerksen, as the two fighters exchange punches, and a high head kick thrown by Doerksen, followed up by a right hand by Joel Powell. Joel Powell now delivering some big right knees.
Yeah, but Doerksen, very smart, quickly gets his head out of there as soon as he could before he ate one to the head.
What I was going to comment on was I see a mark above and below the right eye of Joe Doerksen, which to me means the right eye itself might have a little bit of damage. I could see Joe between rounds trying to get, blinking that right eye numerous times to try and clear his vision.
Yeah, and I even see under his left eye a mouse developing there, which just I think attests to the fact that Powell's been landing pretty cleanly throughout that first round.
We talked about it going in. Joel Powell is a definite threat to Joe Doerksen, and Joel Powell is proving exactly that as we go a minute into round number 2. Joel Powell is making a great account for himself, and I believe is ahead in this fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Joe Doerksen knows, that speed's not everything, and although Joel Powell might have the advantage there, he definitely knows how to turn around as he stands there unloading and just trading, landing shot after shot. Now knees to Joel Powell. Follows it up with a nice head kick.
Unbelievable fight here, the main event at AFC 10. Joe Doerksen and Joel Powell definitely putting on a great fight for the crowd here in Calgary, Alberta.
No, this is a back and forth battle. Neither guy giving it an inch, taking shots and giving them right back as Alderte drops down going for the double. I think he definitely knows he's got a lot more submission grappling experience than Powell on the ground, and that his best chance to take this bout home and the victory is to get it with a submission. Now he hasn't got a lot of room to work here. He's going to have to get Powell off that cage. As you see him reaching back there, trying to pull Powell away.
And a great job by Powell saying, you want to take me, you got to work harder than that, Joe Doerksen. I'm going to put my back right up against his cage.
Yeah, no, Powell's he's in a tough spot, but he's in a good spot. He can pretty much just sit there because he's got his weight down, and it's going to be pretty tough for Joe to get him out of there. There you see referee Brian Beauchamp waited long enough. He's ready to see them take to their feet again. And looks like Joel Powell's mouth guard went missing there. So it's Brian Beauchamp's duty to go over to the corner, collect it. That's twice now that Powell's lost his, and I saw Doerksen almost drop his just a little while ago as well. Managed to push it back in before he moved in for that head kick.
A lot of times you'll see a fighter's mouth guard comes out when they get tired, but we've seen 3 mouth guards hit the mat in this match, and they've all been knocked out of the mouth of the opponents.
Yeah, no, both guys are landing really well here. We're seeing a good display of technique, throwing pretty straight punches. Their hooks are nice and clean. Wow, and Doerksen connects on behind the ear of Powell there, and again, and drops him. Again, a third time, a knee to the body. Sinks in the guillotine, pulls guard, and this is going to be all over. There's Joel Powell tapping out.
Joe Doerksen, the Canadian pioneer, and I don't know if he's fought harder than that in many of his fights. A great performance by Joe Doerksen, and my hat is off to Joel Powell for putting on a hell of a fight.
Let's check out the replay here, Dean. We see Joe move in, lands that right behind the ear, drops Powell, and that was after he landed the first one, then a third.
And did he ever target that punch? He eyed up right behind the ear. He wanted Joel Powell to be on Uzi Street after that knockout, knocking the equilibrium right out of Joel Powell, and then, like a shark smelling blood, Alderte Joe Doerksen goes in for the kill.
He now improves his record to a total of 47-17. We'll pass it up to Dean Panis in the cage for our official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get our official decision, that was one hell of a main event. Let's give it up to both these fighters for putting it on for you tonight here in Calgary. Referee Brian Beauchamp stops this bout due to a guillotine choke at 3 minutes 25 seconds of the second round. Your winner in the red corner, Joe El Dirty DOERKSEN.